Hey, everybody. Una Fiercia, Eclectic Witch, bringing you a collective message tonight. Just going to clear the energy a little bit real quick here. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. I have had a magnificent day. Thank you, Spirit. I'm going to start with these Oracle 7 energy cards tonight. Let's find out what Spirit wants to tell us today. I feel like this is going to be a magical message. Some kind of magical day. I hope you guys have been experiencing them too. I was ready for some sun today. It's been raining where I've been for the last couple of days. Took a mental health day yesterday. I was thankful that I could. All right, Spirit, let's get 3 cards. Maybe one at a time. All right, there's the first one. We've got Feeling the World. And here's the next 2. The next one is Quieting the Mind. And the third one is Healing the Heart. So with this Feeling the World, I feel like, those of us in the collective are, probably a lot of us are empaths, okay? And we feel things very deeply. And I feel like there's been so much chaos and things going on in the news and things like that. We pick up on the emotions of other people, and even if we have, tried to disconnect ourselves from world events and things like that as much as possible, which I feel like if you don't do that, you probably should. It's a good practice. But I feel like even though we do, and we're trying to protect our energy and trying to, like me yesterday, I just needed the day off. I just needed to be at home and be away from people and just be with myself, just sit with the way that I was feeling. And I feel like Spirit's asking us to do that, just to take a little bit of time. Don't feel bad about resting, okay? Because it's vital for us to do that, and to clear our emotions in whatever way we do it. If you cry, if you like to take a bath, if you want to color a picture, if that makes you feel better, but I feel like Spirit's saying here really that there is a lot going on, and we really need to try to disconnect ourselves from the things that are happening outside us that we can't control. Okay, that might look like turning off your electronics, stop scrolling, just set it down for a while, give yourself some time to just be in the quiet. Also, I feel like disconnecting from people in general. People don't mean to bring their chaos around us, but if your family members are upset, your kids are upset, what's the first thing they do is run to mom. Oh, Mom, the kid hit me at school, and you gotta be the mom and help them out. But at the end of the day, when the kids go to bed, make sure that you're taking the time to have a peaceful moment for yourself. Take a nice hot bath, and while you're in there for 20 minutes, give yourself that space away from everybody and away from all their chaos and craziness, so that you can reconnect with your own self and just calm your nervous system down and be able to settle down and reconnect to where you want to be, what level you want to be at, and not try to disconnect from the chaos. Okay. All right. Also with this one, I'm getting, if you, we have narcissistic energies in our environments too, in our lives, maybe people you work with, things like that. Also, I feel like Spirit's asking you to protect your energy. Try to stay away from people like that as much as possible at this time. When you do have to be around them, try to keep your distance, say as little as possible, try to try to interact as little as possible. But, again, when you get home, save your space, take your hot salt bath, whatever you do to, relax yourself, that we really have to protect our own energy, okay? Whatever that looks like for you. Quieting the mind, obviously, Spirit's asking us to take time to connect with our higher selves. I feel like Spirit's reminding us that we are manifesting whatever our energy level is at, that's what we're going to manifest. Okay, so if you are not taking the steps to calm yourself and make yourself feel better, whatever that looks like, Spirit's reminding us that that's the reality you're going to be manifesting. Okay, so it's really important, especially right now, that we all do our parts to make sure that we're taking the steps to keep ourselves calm, so that we are manifesting nicer and better things out there for all of us. This is not just for us. This is for our kids and our people in our space and the people that we work with. And really, if you look at the big picture, it's really, energy shifts, to the next person. We're all connected. Everything is connected, even through the air. So if you're, if your energy is good and you walk into the room with a calm and quiet mind, you're going to help the next person that's in there with you to be able to calm their own energy. Whereas if you go in there screaming and, your radio is blaring and you're, cussing and whatever, that's chaotic energy, and that's what you're going to be spreading. So I feel like Spirit's asking us to be mindful of our own energy, because people are, other people are depending on us too, to be able to help them in their own environments and their own little realities too. Okay. This really is a collective effort. I feel like Spirit's asking here, are you holding on to some kind of grudge, or are you upset about, some little argument you had with your friend or your boyfriend or your kids? Or I feel like Spirit's asking us to examine our own hearts, and is that really something that we want to hold on to, or do we want to realize that it's maybe not really all that important? Maybe pick our battles a little more. Also, I feel like it's talking about looking at your own belief systems and the things that you're expecting from others because of people in your past life, not your past life, but maybe past life, but your ex-lovers and things like that, other narcissistic energies that have been around. Are you still expecting your new partners and your new friends? Are you expecting your new business partners to be, crazy, or, whatever, just anybody in your life? Are you giving them a chance to be them, or are you coming from a place of expectation of what you think they're going to be based on who, your last friend was, or, your last similar experience was? I feel like Spirit's asking us to really examine ourselves and how we're doing that, because we need to come together right now. We need to be here for each other as much as possible. And I feel like Spirit's trying to let us know that the people that are coming into your energy are safe, okay? Or maybe not, but how do they make you feel? How does their energy feel to you? Do they feel safe? And if they do, then for sure giving them a chance, but make sure that you're doing the work to make sure that you've not come to expect them to be something that they're maybe not, because we are one consciousness. We need each other. People need people. People need friends and relationships. Maybe you've been in some kind of hermit energy, away from people. I feel like Spirit's asking us to really make sure that we've examined our hearts and made sure that we're being for other people what we would want them to be for us. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. All right, where are we going from here, Spirit? I think I'm going to go to the Celestial Insights. Gotta get used to shuffling like this. Ugh. All right, Spirit, give me one for feeling the world. I'm just gonna take the one on the top. This says confusion. Confusion is temporary and leads to clarity. Are you feeling lost? Slow down, be patient, allow clarity to emerge in its own time. Yeah, when we're on our electronics and we're scrolling and we're seeing all the craziness on Facebook and wherever, TikTok, is pretty notorious for that. We create confusion in our own nervous systems. If we just, we're in a world where, we feel like we need our electronics to a certain degree, and that's fine. I'm not telling you throw your phones away, okay? Oh, God. Don't say that. I know. Okay. But just hear me out, okay? I don't know if you guys realize this, but we're really, Steve Jobs' kids don't even have electronics. When we're constantly doom scrolling and watching the news and all this stuff, it does something to your nervous system and makes it impossible to relax. But Spirit's saying, it doesn't have to be that way. You can just set it down, turn it off, whatever you got to do to calm yourself. And when you're calm, that's when you're going to get clarity on the things that you want to do to start, if you're trying to manifest things, which you are, whether you think you are or not, okay? But if you want to manifest nice things, it would be better to do so from a place of clarity. If you're emitting confusion and chaos, that's what is going to manifest, and not just your world, but like I said, energy is connected. You road rage all the way to work, and you get there and you're huffing and puffing, and somebody might be sitting there having their lunch and they're having a good day, and then all of a sudden you come in with a storm cloud over you and you just like ruin their whole afternoon. I'm sure you guys understand that experience. I'm sure you've probably experienced it yourself. That's just an example of how energy affects each other, okay? And we're all made up of energy. So I feel like Spirit's saying this is a time already of chaos. We those of us who are mindful of this need to really do our part as much as we possibly can to try to quiet our minds and calm our own energy so that we can help everybody else to calm the F down, okay? Slow down, be patient, and allow clarity to emerge in its own time. This is where you're going to see things that Spirit wants you to do. If you're trying new work situations, if you're trying to manifest more money, if you're trying to bring love into your life, it's going to look a lot nicer if you've done so from a place where you've taken the time to calm your energy and slow yourself down, okay? And you're also going to be able to get a lot more clarity about what it is that you want to do moving forward, all right? Give me one for quieting the mind, Spirit. Courage. Courage is the power to overcome any obstacle. Are you facing a tough decision? Don't shy away. Take that leap forward and discover your own strength. Yeah, I feel like we are trying to, as a collective, I feel like we are trying to move forward with new ideas, and again, I feel like if we're taking the time to calm the chaos, we're going to feel a lot better about our decisions in general, because we're going to be able to think straight. We're going to be able to really see clearly what it is, the things that we need to see. And then it will be easier for us to feel good about our decisions that we've made, and we'll feel stronger about the things that we're doing, that we'll have more clarity that those are the things that, yes, that is what we want to be doing. I feel like Spirit's saying if you are doing this, if you are taking the time to, connect, then don't be afraid of what it is that you want to do. Go ahead with it. You'll know that that's what you want to do, and you don't need to be afraid to go ahead with it. Spirit's saying act in courage. You've done what you needed to do, okay, already, to make sure that you're thinking straight, okay? I feel like Spirit's saying don't be afraid to do what it is that you feel like you're being led to do. Okay? Aim for healing the heart. Let's see. Heart with tree. Like a tree, deep roots create stability and growth. Are you feeling ungrounded? Focus on your building a strong foundation in all areas of your life to support your long-term growth. Yeah. All right. So tree is also a symbol for family. If you've been doing the work on your belief systems and things like that, you've recognized, that there was some work to do there, and you're seeing people for who they are and not assuming, the negative things about them. You're gonna get a lot more strength and stability in your relationships, obviously. I mean, but having these relationships with these good people that are coming in because, and you're recognizing them now because you've done the work, this is going to be your support system and your root system for the things that you're trying to create, especially if you put this in the context of a work situation, well, in a family situation too, really. But if you yourself are feeling ungrounded because you haven't been taking the time to quiet your mind and calm down, it's not going to feel that way. Spirit's asking to make sure again that you're doing these things so that you can also feel grounded and stable in your relationships. Okay. This all is working together. All right, Spirit, where are we going from here? Take a few of these. That one for feeling the world, Spirit. And get some more messages for the collective, Spirit. Oh, again. Yes. Okay. Being the lighthouse. Yeah. So not everybody in our life is, enlightened like we are. They're not all going to know that they're not going to realize that they're hurting anybody with their energy. They may not give any thought to the emotions that they're inflicting on other people. I feel like Spirit's asking us, that if we can be the example, we can affect. I don't want to sound dramatic, affect the world, but it's really, we really are one consciousness. We really are one energy that's connected. So I feel like Spirit's asking us to be the example to others on this by monitoring your own energy and doing the things that you need to do to stay calm and, get us through these chaotic times. It's going to help everybody. And I feel like God really wants us to do that. It's kind of necessary right now. There's so much chaos and confusion, things happening in the world, but you don't have to be affected by it. You can choose to not let it freak you out. Of course, sometimes things take us aback and, we might be, for a minute, but you always can choose to change your emotions. Just because something feels like it should piss you off or, make you sad or any of those low vibrational energies. Spirit's reminding us that you don't have to stay there. You might be there for a minute and that's okay. We're human beings. We're not going to remember all the time that, I got to, calm down. But at some point, try to make a habit of it that you're going to at least try. Okay. And I feel like by us doing that and showing others that, hey, you don't have to be road raging, just because the traffic's bumper to bumper and whatever, if you are, you're going to be noticed for sure. But even, when you get to work and you're upset, that upset you, road raging is a pretty good example. In my own experience, I used to be a really big road rager, and I would get to work at my last job, actually. This has been something that I've just noticed recently. But I would be upset all the way there. It was two lanes of traffic, and nobody seems to realize that the lane on the left is for passing, right? And so the two cars in the front of this long line of traffic, they're riding next to each other all the way, and it would, every day, like, and I'm fire and air, right? So it was hard for me. It was really hard for me. It was like that every day. And I realized that I was expecting that every day. So I was actually manifesting that. But I realized that, you see that it's going to be like this every day. So, are you really intending to get to work and have a terrible first couple of hours, where you're in chaotic energy. So, when you're in chaotic energy, everything is going to be chaotic around you. If you haven't noticed, take time to notice, because it's definitely the truth. Okay. But you don't have to do that. You can sit back and say, okay, well, I see I'm going to go 35 when it's 55, and there's not going to be anything I can do about it. So what am I going to do? Am I going to cuss and scream and cut people off and wave my finger out the window and all these things? Or am I just going to take a deep breath and calm down? It feels better to me when I just take the deep breath and calm down. And I feel like we're expected, or maybe we're just feeling rushed or whatever, we got to get to work on time. Well, you could leave 10 minutes earlier and not have to worry about it. There are ways of getting around having these chaotic and crazy emotions. I feel like we need to be mindful of looking for those and just realizing that even it's life is gonna life whether you want it to or not. But you can get upset for a minute if you feel like you need to. Okay, that's okay, you're human, go ahead. But just recognize that you don't have to stay there. Okay. And it's really better for you and for everybody around you. Please try not to stay there. Okay. Spirit's asking us to be the example to everyone else and show people that it's not necessary to live that way. You can definitely curtail your emotions, and in doing so, you're going to curtail the things that are happening around you. You do manifest what you're vibing at. You went for quieting the mind, Spirit. Yeah, all right, I'm just gonna do this. First is healing past beliefs. Start a creative project. I feel like this goes here. I feel like this one goes here. Yeah, I feel like we're probably, a lot of us are starting to look for ways to, maybe we've been in types of jobs that we're not really that excited about, or maybe we've been doing it for a long time, or, whatever. I feel like we're a lot of us are being moved to change over to a new way of working, which would be doing something that you like. We work to make money, yes, okay, and I feel like the old programming has been that we just, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you're bringing home a paycheck, right? Well, so a lot of us stay in jobs that we hate for 20, 30 years. I know this lady that's been at this place for at least 20 years, and it's a horrible place to work. I used to work there, and I know she's miserable. But we do that. We'll stay where we are because it feels safe and secure. But I feel like a lot of us are starting to realize that that doesn't resonate anymore. It's not, we're getting more and more uncomfortable with our surroundings and places like that, that we really just don't have the heart for anymore. And I feel like Spirit's asking us to maybe start thinking about that when you're quieting your mind and you're connecting with yourself and your higher self. Ask yourself, what do I love? What kind of things would I like to do? What do you do for fun? You know, maybe wouldn't that be a great job to do what you do for fun, right? I feel like that's ideal. That would be an ideal job, right? I feel like Spirit's asking us to have the courage to really look at what could we be doing differently? What could we be doing that we love, that and start making the plans to get there. Start a creative project. Have courage to do that. Maybe you are thinking that you hate your job that you've been at for 20 years. Spirit's saying this is a really good time right now to make those changes. For myself, I've been in the healing industry for 30 years or more. Recently, I have decided that I just can't do it anymore. I can't work in a facility. They're short. First of all, they're short-staffed all the time. Everywhere you go, it's short-staffed. You know, the pay is shitty. The management is whatever. You know, they're all cranky because their job sucks too. And you know, you're pushing pills at people that you don't. You know, and you don't even take medications yourself, right? Like, it gets to your soul when you're doing something that you just don't resonate with. And I feel like Spirit's telling us this is a really good time to find out what does resonate with your soul. What would make you feel good? What would you love to do, and how could you make it happen? Maybe make a list of the things that you like and just really start giving that some thought. Set down some goals. What would it take to do that? Where would I need to start? What things would I need to do first? And just make a checklist and just, you know, I don't know if everybody knows about goals, like how you do goal setting and stuff, but that's basically, you know, you just start writing stuff down. What would you want to do? First of all, get some ideas out there, and then, you know, how would that look? How could you bring that into reality for yourself? Spirit's saying don't be afraid because this is supported. And about the healthcare industry also, I feel like we're moving into a different time in healthcare. I feel like that way of healthcare is kind of just crashing. A lot of people are losing their insurances and stuff like that. Doctors are expensive. Hospitals are really expensive. How much better would it be if you could heal yourself? It starts with your belief systems. First of all, do you believe you can? Okay, well, you can. I'm just telling you. Forgot where I was going with that. All right, well, I'm sorry, I had lost that thought. Anyway, we're going to healing past beliefs, okay, about healing the heart and tree. Yeah, okay. So, people in your life and relationships in your life, and maybe even these projects that you're thinking of, are you looking at them in the right way? Or are you still looking at them from the way you used to think, or maybe the way your mom thought, or, maybe the way dad said, or, the way your ex-husband acted, maybe the way your old bosses were, maybe the way your last business partner was. Are you seeing those things for what they really are, or are you still looking to the back? Because I feel like this is going to be detrimental in helping us to move forward into these new ways of being here. Always, you have to do the healing work so that you can move forward and create something better. Otherwise, you're just going to keep recreating your past. Okay, that's really the bottom line. If you expect somebody to treat you badly, then they're going to. If you expect that you're going to hate this new thing, then you're probably going to. But if you do the work to realize that you're just expecting it and it's not really the truth, it doesn't have to be the truth, and you can expect something different, you're going to create a lot firmer of a foundation for moving forward. Okay, let me get a couple more. What else about this spirit? Anything else we need to know? Oh, I don't know if I want all these. Yeah, this is way too many. I'm just going to take the first couple. Yeah, I feel like a lot of us are being called to these new modalities of healing. Probably a lot of us you guys that are watching this show are aware of manipulating energy, and that you can heal yourself by manipulating energy. By calming the mind and cutting out the confusion and chaos and being able to see things from a clear perspective. And you will start to know that you are manifesting better. You'll start to see it. This is how we're going to manifest a better existence for ourselves and everybody. This is a really important lesson I feel like Spirit's trying to get across, okay? Did you know that everything is energy, and energy is sound, okay? And sound is vibrations, okay? And energy is vibrations, all right? So by changing the energy around you, excuse me, that's not what I wanted to say. Using sound therapy, okay, if you guys didn't know, when you play a certain frequency, you can change the energy around it, okay? So if we were talking about heart healing, by playing 432 hertz music, you can balance your heart chakra and your heart energy. You might be having chest pain. You put the 432 hertz on and it does start to feel better. It clears the blockage that's in there. You're having some sort of blockage, maybe from, your narcissistic partner or whatever, but you put on, you can help yourself using sound therapy, some frequencies. There's also music that uses frequencies in it. It doesn't just have to be sounds. It can be actual music. There's lots of things on YouTube that you can use that are already made. I use sound therapy a lot for myself. There are also binaural beats that you can use too. I'm not really very all that clear about binaural beats. I feel like I don't really know how they work. I know that you have to use headphones for them, and I don't like to sleep with headphones, so I don't do that too often, but look into it. Maybe it's something that resonates with you. But I know definitely how do you say it? Solfeggio frequencies. There's, you can use sound anyway to heal yourself and also to calm yourself. And also you can even specifically look up specific health problems that you're having. If you have a headache, look up sound frequencies to heal headaches, and they're there. There's 100 of them there, okay? If you have backaches, look it up for backaches. Even coronavirus back in 2020 when I was just started to get into natural healing, I remember I looked and they were there, coronavirus frequencies to help with coronavirus, to lessen the symptoms. You didn't hear about that on the news, of course. You're not going to hear about that stuff. But I'm telling you here that you can use, there's all kinds of things on YouTube, and there are sound therapists to do this stuff too. You can use these in your meditations to help you to calm yourself and relax, to get into that meditative state. There's all kinds of guided meditations and sound meditations, and you can do a lot with sound because everything is made of sound. Okay, energy is sound. Sound is energy. Okay, I don't know what I'm trying to say there. Sound is energy. Sound is frequency. Energy is frequency. Thank you, Spirit. And the last one I'm going to take, and this one is relevant. Oh, there they go again. I have a chair sitting over here that as I'm taking the cards and getting done with them, I'm putting them over here on this chair, and it's kind of a warped chair, so it's not really the best place to put cards, especially these ones. They fall every single time. With healing the heart and developing your foundations, it's important to protect your own energy. Getting back here to feeling the world too. Your friends and family that aren't privy to the information that you and I have, they don't understand what they're doing. Okay, they don't mean to upset you. They're just upset, and they think they have to be upset, and they expect you to be upset with them because that's how it's always been. But you can't control what they do. Obviously, you can try to tell them, hey, it's okay. Be there for a minute, but you don't got to stay there. Try to teach them. Sure, absolutely. It's definitely, for sure. Please share the information. We all need to hear it. But, don't forget that maybe you would want to protect your energy if you know how to make an energy or a bubble around yourself, a protection bubble. That's a good idea. You can use sage, Palo Santo, sound frequencies, but also just make sure you're taking the space for yourself at the end of the day or in the morning. In the morning is a really good time to take some quiet time, take 10 minutes to do your little meditation, and just, you don't have to do any specific kind of meditation or anything. Just sit there in the quiet and ask yourself, how do I feel? Is there something that doesn't feel good? How can I make it feel better? And, just let your higher self tell you what you need. And that is also a way of protecting your own energy. Give yourself that boost in the morning that you Give yourself that. The energy bubble is a great idea, but also giving yourself that 10 minutes with your higher self in the morning, or God, or however you want to look at it. Maybe you say a prayer. But that's going to give you, you're going to be starting from a much better place, okay? You're getting a good, it's like eating a good breakfast in the morning, you know, if you're a breakfast eater or if you're a coffee drinker, you got to have your coffee. It's really even more important than either one of those things to make sure that you're taking the time for yourself in the mornings, but also in the evenings, because as we go through our day, we might start off great. We do our little 10-minute meditation and we're good to go. We're feeling good. We got all these good ideas, things we want to do today. We're feeling awesome, singing our songs, doing our little visualizations. Oh, whatever it is that you feel good about. Okay. But as life happens, you got these people coming in that, don't realize what they're doing and they're bringing you down. Okay. It's going to happen. Life happens. But Spirit's asking you to, give yourself that time away from it and make sure that you're protecting your own energy so that you can continue to be this tree for the people around you that don't know better or that are forgetting. Sometimes we forget too, even when we know, we forget sometimes. And these firm foundations that we've built with the people who really love us, who really do love us, if we let them, maybe they, they are our support too. But Spirit's just saying, make sure that you are not forgetting that you're important. You're important because you can't fill anybody else's cup if yours is empty. Okay. And I believe that is the end of the message. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Like, share, and subscribe if you like my channel. You like the way I read. Appreciate you guys coming in. And I hope I think this was an amazing message. Thank you, Spirit. This is exactly what I've been needing, and I feel like we've all probably been needing. This is just the way the energy is rolling right now, for sure. All right, guys. Hope you have a great night.